Required listening with Amazon Music.
Dad music again?
The greatest guitarist of all time.
Wait, who?
Alexa, add this song to a new playlist.
Sure, what's the new playlist name?
Jack's Intro to Classic Rock.
Adding Stepping Stone by Jimi Hendrix to Jack's Intro to Classic Rock playlist.
Amazon Music, the simplest way to listen to the music you and soon he will love. New customers start your 30-day free trial at amazonmusic.com. Renews automatically, cancel anytime.
Blog Talk Radio.
I bet you guys really missed me, right? Just kidding. It hasn't been that long, has it? Actually, it's been like a little over a week. Hello, everybody. It's a beautiful, balmy, I don't even want to say balmy. What is it, like 20 degrees in the state of Wisconsin? But good morning, and I'm here, and I've been up nice and early and excited and petrified all at the same time for my guest today. So I want to do just a couple quick announcements before I get Yvonne on the show and we start talking to her. First of all, I want to remind everybody that tomorrow I have one more show this week at 2 o'clock Central Standard Time. Not only is this a professional friend of mine, but also a personal friend of mine. Her name is Emily Taffel. She's one of the individuals that I work in the publicity realm, entertainment, et cetera, and she's just a doll, absolutely fabulous. If you were looking at my social media not so long ago, you would see the shirt that I wrote, which says, I am fluent in media, courtesy, of course, of Muggsy PR, which is, of course, her firm. So tomorrow we're going to talk about her new husband. We're going to talk about the new changes in her firm. We're going to talk about her new clients. Oh, I'm so excited. I cannot stand it. So we'll make sure we take care of that. So that's tomorrow at 2 o'clock Central Standard Time. Second of all, reminder to everybody, we are in regular submission time for my film festival in New York City, August 16th through the 19th. I wish I could tell you the location, but I don't have one yet. I'm working on it. Sad to say, actually, I just was alerted to the fact that the Doghouse Craft and Kitchen, which is where we last had our festival last year, closed, and I'm terribly sad. So big shout out and love to Christopher. Thank you so much for everything you've done for us, and I look forward to seeing you in the NYC soon. So yeah, if you have any recommendations for a location, let me know. If you have any recommendations for films, let me know. I am accepting web series. I'm accepting shorts and features, youth films, screenplays, just about everything except your children. It's artisalive.filmfestival.yolasite.com. You can submit through my website. You can also go ahead and submit through filmfreeway.com and just type in Art is Alive Film Festival. Right now we're in the regular submission period, which is for films it's $30, for youth films $10, screenplays are $20, and then, of course, you have all the way up until, I want to say we're notifying in June. And then, of course, like I said, August 16th through the 19th. So please go ahead and submit your films there as far as that goes. Obviously, you all know I'm doing a film right now. We're kind of doing a film right now, kind of getting a film together. That's the way I look at it. In any case, if you, anybody who is either representing love, has a product that endorses love, anything having to do with love, the name of my show, I'm okay today. The name of my film is Love's Two-Way Mirror. We are currently looking for products that want to place within the course of the film. I could probably be coerced into casting a few more people, so we might do that. And, of course, we're always looking for music. So if anybody's interested, go ahead and check it out on Facebook, Love's Two-Way Mirror. You can go to the actual website. If you just type in Love's Two-Way Mirror, forgive me. I know I should know it by heart, but I don't. Obviously, you can email me with any recommendations or casting or music, etc. It's CIN4251@gmail.com, and that's in terms of that. And then, of course, don't forget, we are still selling the Art is Alive, the Magic of Indie Movies catalog. And what is that? Well, that is the actual write-up of the book reviews, film reviews. I'm okay today, yes I am, of the finalists and the winners of my Art is Alive Film Festival from 2017. And what happens to that money? Well, let me just tell you, not only does it go to fund my film, but it also, after 2,000 copies, goes back to every finalist and winner at the film festival. So it behooves you to buy a copy, of course. Again, Facebook, Art is Alive, The Magic of Indie Movies. It's on my website, which is sinschatcorner.yolasite.com. It also has its own website, so please go ahead and check it out. Please support all these wonderful filmmakers that take the time to inspire and motivate and create and entertain. I can't say enough about filmmakers. So without further ado, speaking of filmmakers, let's talk to Yvonne and get her on the line. Good morning, young lady.
Hello. Hi.
I'm nervous. Are you? I'm petrified. You're such a big deal, I can't even stand it right now. I'm like, all morning I'm petrified. I'm drinking my coffee. I'm like, she's going to roll me over the carpet. Scared. Really nervous.
I've been looking at what you're doing, the festival, this blog talk show, which is amazing. And I'm the one who's petrified. I'm sitting here trying to make sure I'm... So here is
My God,
possible.
listen to this. It's a love fest. So good morning. First of all, I want to say happy International Women's Day. So how are you going to spend the big day today? Because it's a big day for women.
It is. I think I'll be sending a text to all the women I love, telling them they're incredible. I think that's a good start. Let's, start. I don't think we get enough texts as women from other women saying,
Right?
I love you and everything you are.
Exactly. That's exactly right. I have to friend you on Facebook because then you'll see what I do every day. Every single day I post up these little social media things, and Nubia can tell you this. I put it up and I'll say, if you're reading this now, like today I was like, if you're reading this now, don't let anybody change who you are. You are you. You're defined by you, etc. I do empowering things 3-4 times a day, and I have a large following. And people watch it, and they get all excited, and they're like, we love her. And I'm like, don't love me, love you. That was the whole point of it. Love you. So today we're all about the you factor, young lady. We're going to talk about you. We're not talking about me. I'm not that big of a deal. People on my show are a big deal. I get excited about that. And there's a lot to talk about with you. So I want to talk about something super important. Apparently I see that you're a huge fan of fuzzy slippers. I was creeping on you all over the place. And I'm like, oh, my God, look at her. She wears creepy slippers, and she does, like, black and white photos, and she's so real and raw and silly. I love it.
I just try and be an extension of everything that I am. I think it's really hard trying to pretend to be someone else for long periods of time. So I try and be as myself as possible and as fully extended in my own being as possible. I think it sort of comes with age that being and putting on that mask just wears you down, and it just makes you miserable. So slippers.
You are not lying there, girl. Oh, my God, yes. I was so refreshing to look at all these different pictures, especially on the social media, on your Facebook page. If you go through, folks, and you take a look at all these different things she has, she's just so complimentary and creatively posting up new and different things of different people, different places. You're a friend to the homeless, which I love. I'm so down with that. I'm like, oh, my God, this cute little post you had about taking food to the homeless and getting a rose. And I thought, what a sweet little story that was. How nice is that? Tell me about the gentleman.
Oh, my goodness. So Thanksgiving is a new thing for me, mainly because I have been flying in and out of the States, but I haven't spent extended periods in the States since, for the past 4 years. That's kind of been the case. I've been here more than not. And so Thanksgiving came about 4 years ago. And I realized, I have no full idea what this means, but apparently it's about giving thanks. I love the idea of binging on food for hours and hours on end. But it would be nice to do a bit of thanks and giving.
Right.
So I ended up joining a good friend of mine who runs this endeavor where we went up to the Bronx, and we were actually not just looking at the homeless, but heroin addicts, addicts of crack. So anyone on that particular part, which can be quite destructive. It is very destructive for you or the people around you if you're on that path of drug addiction. And literally just gave them plates of food and had a chat. And there wasn't any sort of kumbaya singing and trying to change them or get them to go somewhere, but it was just making them realize that there are other humans they can connect to that aren't necessarily afraid of them or think they're different or wrong. They're in a place where they need help and support. So I met this guy 4 years ago and then went back the following year for Thanksgiving, and he was there and he remembered me, and I was just so overwhelmed because he knew we'd come in every year, and he was hoping that I would continue to come every year, and I do. And he gave me a rose, and I was so overwhelmed. And
so
just
sweet.
so yeah. And
see how amazing she is, and it's the first 5 minutes, and listen, she's already an amazing individual. I love this. This is so cool. I'm so excited. Number 2, not all of us have jewelry named after us. Good Luck Jewelry decided we're going to take you and give you your jewelry, your name. Tell me about this. Oh, my God. I don't have a jewelry named after me. Thanks.
That was years ago, but again,
I know.
I was working at the magazine and also trying to promote a lot of young designers, fresh new designers, and I was really pushing for them and trying to get their voices heard, trying to get their products seen, because I'm all about helping that little guy who is trying to make a name for themselves, but also trying to give back to society with a product that's amazing. So this particular designer, I wrote a review about their jewelry, and they ended up actually doing really, really well. based on the articles that we posted. And he just sent me a note one day saying, I made this piece of jewelry after you. Thank you so much for your help.
Aww.
Again, that blew me away. I wasn't expecting it. It wasn't, I don't get jewelry made after me generally. So I'm still overwhelmed and just thankful that he thought of me and was so kind to think that my name on a piece of jewelry may work. Yes.
That's very cool. I like that very much, actually. I just thought that was something that stood out a whole lot to me. I was like, that's really cool. That doesn't happen to everyone every day. So that clearly speaks to who you are and what you do, which is very cool. And obviously, folks, I know that most of you obviously will talk about the tour, of course. We're going to talk about your acting, of course. But that's not all that you do. I know that you used to be the senior editor of 2 different publications, BCG Magazine and TTF. And I know you're currently writing for the Daily Actor. So question relative to the writing component, because of course, that's my background is writing. Tell me the differences between the creative feel and the findings that you have in terms of the writing side of things that differentiate in the acting side of things, because I think oftentimes people, that's the same but different realm. You know what I mean? So talk a little bit about the writing component, how often you get to do that, and is that more your labor of love or is it more on the acting side?
Actually, over the past couple of years, I've been leaning towards writing a lot more, mainly because it gets to a stage, and I always said to myself, I will never sit there and wait for that phone call from my agent to give me a job or to tell me that I can go and audition for someone. And the minute I started doing that, I sort of checked myself, and I said, you need to be creative because you've got far too much time sitting here waiting for this phone call. And so I went, knee deep into writing, just writing. I didn't expect anyone to read it. I didn't think it was any good particularly. And I just wrote narrative. And the thing that it does to an actor, I feel, is it expands your horizons and makes you think beyond just you as the tiny little component in a production. And you start thinking of story. You start thinking of production, you start thinking of set, scenery, you start thinking of locations. And suddenly, I think it opens up your scope to what I believe most actors should be doing now, is enterprise. You can't just be an actor. You have to see how the rest of the industry works, and that will, I believe, give you longevity in this industry. You have to do a little bit more. Reach out and find out other endeavors that you may be interested in within production. And so that's sort of where my thinking is. And I feel that a lot of actors who assist, even if it's not something that they want to do full time, they probably get a stipend, assist in other endeavors, end up being a lot more fulfilled as themselves, because that long wait for a phone call to say you've got the job or to say you can go and audition for something is painful. For me, it's painful. And it's a really difficult process to keep doing over and over again. And it just shows your mind is a little bit, can be occupied with other things, I think. So for me, I'm doing it a lot more. I feel like I'm writing a lot more, to the point where, I wrote a short film, and then I wrote another feature film that I showed no one. However, I ended up doing a collaboration with another friend of mine, and we have a feature film that we're currently in development with. So it grows. It's a muscle that needs to grow, and a skill set that you need. Yeah.
Well, my question is, because people are listening in, now as it relates to the Daily Actor, what do you submit or what do you actually publish, or what can people look for, and how often do you contribute to them, so we know?
So the thing is that it's such a wonderful collaboration. Basically, I wrote to the editor of the Daily Actor many, many years ago, and I said, look, I think there's something that we're missing. It would be great to have casting directors and producers say what they're looking for, say what they dislike, say the processes that they go through, the pet peeves that they have about actors, and just little tidbits. And we ended up calling it Bite Size 6. So we asked them 6 questions. They gave us 6 wonderful answers, and it grew from there. And we had some submissions from casting directors and now producers and executives. So lots of people wanted to share their nuggets, the little golden nuggets of how you could be a better actor, or even more about the industry. And it just spread. So from there, I just submit articles as and when I have time. But it's a very organic, lovely relationship where when I, if I think of an idea like the Bite Size 6, I submit that idea and it's considered, and then an article is created around it. And if it works, we end up doing it. I mean, we've been doing the questions to casting directors and producers and directors for years now, because it just seems to resonate quite deeply with a lot of actors. So it really is about thinking of something that you feel would be of value to other actors, and then submitting that idea and having a conversation. But it's quite
very nice.
It's so fulfilling.
I like. Very, very nice. I like that. That's very cool. And that's cool. That was neat to be able to find out, because I was like, oftentimes when I interview actors, it's typically they're either filmmakers, actors, producers, et cetera, and they're not always writing their own material, which you are, which is awesome. And obviously, of course, you guys can go and check that out at DLAactor.com, because that's the website, and she's there, obviously. And then it prompted little old me to submit something, so I threw them an idea myself. So, with any luck at all, you'll see a little ditty from me in there. Probably not, but you never know. What can I say? You inspired me this morning, so thank you.
Please
very
do.
Cool.
You have so many nuggets to share with us.
Thank you.
I have checked you out too, lady. And you have wonderful.
She's creeping on me. She's on to me. That's okay. Now, this is interesting, and in case, folks, you can't tell by the fact that I could sit and listen to her all day long, because if you were male, I would fall in love with you because of that voice, which means that we all know that she didn't grow up here. Obviously, she didn't. She grew up in England, and she's currently a resident of New York City. So I want to backtrack a little bit and talk about England, because when we think about England, I always think of tea. I think of the Queen. I think of a lot of very scary things, et cetera. So tell me a bit about the flip side of England. What was it like growing up there? I mean, that's got to be a whole nother world with a whole nother spectrum and special. I just envision neat little nuggets from there, too.
Oh, gosh, yes, it's very different. I mean, growing up in England, or in my case in London, so I grew up in East London, which is very different from, relatively different from West London or growing out in the suburbs. But East London is actually quite close in terms of pulse to New York. It's multicultural. It's embracing of everything that's different. Of course, we love tea. Yes, I'm obsessed, and I do drink tea 4 or 5 times a day, so there's certain things that but growing up as a skinny little black girl in East London felt very easy. I had such a wide range of friends from different cultures and nationalities. I sampled so many different types of food. I just remember being filled with culture growing up. And also I enjoyed school, so maybe I'm a nerd, so, I loved being in school. I loved learning. I loved speaking to friends and making new friends and finding out about new different things. So for me, it was a pleasant experience being a child in London, East London. Yeah.
I want to go there. I want to so go there. I totally do at some point, because I have friends that are in London, and they keep asking. I'm like, number one, I don't have a passport. That might be a bit of a problem, because I think they'll kick me right out of my own country. Yours. I'm like, don't you need a passport for that, right? You have to have a passport to go there.
Yes, get one, please. Come and visit. It's
again, I would love that.
It's such a departure from being in New York, because New York is very straight. Everyone means what they say. There's such an energy and a pulse that surges through. London, I just remember having time to think and breathe and walk in parks, and of course it has a pace, but it gives you a little bit more time to just gather your thoughts. You don't have to be on the go all the time.
Exactly. I was just going to mention that, folks, because, of course, I travel back and forth. I'm in Wisconsin, so I go to New York City all the time. My festival is there. My film is going to be shot there. I'm going to live there within 5 or 6 years. And so I'm like, okay, I always like to talk to people about this, because I think people give New York a bad rap. Like the first couple of years I was going, I didn't like it either. I was like, do you ever notice this? People will walk right past you. They don't smile. They don't acknowledge you. Taxi cab drivers will kill you. I kid you not, because they won't stop. And I'm like, is it really that bad? Because now, what part of the city are you living in? Are you in Brooklyn, or where do you stay normally?
I'm in
the creative side of things?
Main Island, Upper West into Harlem. That is my neighborhood.
Nice.
I went knee deep into being uptown, and again, every single neighborhood is so different. Yes, to be honest, I did find that really, really intriguing, that kind of straight talking. Yes, cabs will run you over. Yes, if you're dithering around, you will be almost bashed to the floor. It's like no one has time for you to stand around. No one has time for that.
No, it's a little crazy, isn't it?
It is, but it gets your energy pumping. Yes, it is.
It does. And you're so busy all the time that it's like, it's so cool because you wake up and you always have 100 things to do. That's why when I come to Wisconsin, I get frustrated because people drive at like 20 miles an hour, and I'm driving like in New York, or like, I'm sorry, I have 800 things to do right now. I don't have time for you to be driving, and then there's snow, and I'm like, oh my God, it's insane. So please tell me you're safe from the snow, because I hear that my loved ones there are kind of underneath the snowstorm. Are you okay? You in a good part?
It's fine. I was kind of slightly excited, not about the snowstorm, but just having snow outside. It's, snow never settles in London, apart from recently where, we had a bit of snow in London. But generally, I was a bit apprehensive, but I was thinking, there could be a lot more snow. But no, you guys have it down. You have cleared up the streets. People are back in business and working. In London, this would shut down the whole place for a whole 2 weeks. The perfect excuse not to do anything. I'm serious.
Oh, my God, look at that. Well, I'm glad. Good. Everybody's back in action, so that's important. Yeah, I was going to go to New York this week for just a couple of days, and then when I'd heard the storm was coming, I'm like, I don't want to deal with that drama because I already had a flight canceled last week, so I'm like, okay, it is what it is. We'll sit and we'll talk for you from my lovely living room in Wisconsin where there is snow on the ground, and it's I think it's a balmy 25 right now. Woohoo! Really warm in this state. Absolutely love it. Well, New York isn't much better, so it's kind of like, you know what? I understand the cold weather, so it is what it is. That's fine. Now, you must tell me, I have a question before we start talking about this empowerment tour that you guys have got. Let's backtrack a little bit, of course, because it all spirals back to this little project that people may not know about that you were the star in. You're a writer and producer of a project called Inflatable K. So let's start off with the basics, meaning that every story has somebody sitting and writing a screenplay that's brought onto life in front of the big screen. So tell us a little bit about the backstory of Inflatable K, and more importantly, what inspired you to want to make a movie about this particular subject matter?
Well, that's a really interesting question, mainly because it actually came about from a conversation. About 4 years ago, I had a conversation with a friend of mine who just happens to be of color and Muslim. And she sat there and she was, telling me about her experience. And the thing that hit me the most is she said she is most devastated in heart by the fact that her neighbors and people she considered friends and family looked at her a little bit differently. This is like the onset of the sort of Islamophobia, the whole wearing a headscarf suddenly made you look like you could be a terrorist to some people, which is completely wrong. And she said, actually, all of that doesn't faze her because she doesn't know those people. Her experience was her close friends suddenly just looked at her differently, and that hurt. When she said that, it completely just was heartbreaking to me. It resonated so deeply with me, and I just thought, this is something that I just didn't think about. That, obviously she was born and raised here, and, all she knows is her little community in upstate New York, and then suddenly it's, the little community that she had isn't quite as enthused about her presence in the community just because she's Muslim and she wears a headscarf. She wears a hijab, but people call it a headscarf. So in that sense, I decided to write something. It was just a short film. I decided to write it. I decided to sort of try and express some of that isolation that she felt. She's never felt so isolated and lonely. And I wrote a short film. It was about 10 pages long, and I just wrote it. And then I ended up sort of showing it to a couple of friends and a good friend of mine who's a producer, and she predominantly does film. She no longer dabbles in short films. And she said she would help me produce it. And she said we should do it. Nice. We should see how this looks like and how it pans out. I think it's a wonderful story. So she was completely enrolled in that process. And then we ended up showing it to the several directors who were so enthused and really wanted to do it again. Just aligning the dates and times, we ended up having a conversation with Dale Restaghini, who predominantly does a lot of music videos, and he was so passionate about it. Again, he wanted to be a part of the story in some way, about telling the story about a young Muslim woman who's never felt so isolated and lonely, and create an imaginary world in her car, really. So we ended up doing the film, taking it to festivals, seeing how that transpires. And then, so the festivals were happening. We thought, okay, we've done what we can with this film. And we, decided to screen it, as one does at the end of the festival run. And we screened it somewhere. And then suddenly we put it online, and we got a ton of hate mail. I just couldn't understand. It wasn't hate mail that almost made sense. It was hate mail that was just pure abuse. So you blah, 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 rather than I hate this because of that. It made no sense. It was just generalized abuse. And then we got a lot of counters. So a lot of people sort of started, commenting on it and supporting it and started a conversation. This little film that we just felt passionate enough to go into Santa Clarita in LA and to sort of film it and to show it and share it with the world turned into a conversation. And for me, that somehow resonated and reminded me of why I went into the business in the first place, which was to start conversations, to trigger reactions, to get people to think and to feel enough to talk about it, and for it to affect them.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I want to ask a question about that because you mentioned, of course, getting feedback on both sides of the fence. So let's speak a moment about, I find oftentimes that when there is pure hatred or pure ugly or evil thoughts that are conveyed, it's usually in three different places, meaning that you have a conflict as it relates to your personal beliefs, you have a conflict between general men and women, or you have a conflict between the meaning and the message. Why do you think it is that people were becoming so fired up or containing so much fury about what you put together in a film? Why do you think it was? Any idea? Any clues?
Yes, I do. These are just thoughts. Again, it's one of those conversations where I've not had the pleasure of having a conversation with, or should I say, it's like this pleasure of having a conversation with someone who actually sent the hate mail. They won't go into discourse. They won't go into conversation. They won't even, even if you present that platform for them to say, I want to hear more of what you think. This is intriguing to me and a little bit surprising. Tell me why you think like this. They won't go into that discourse. They feel as though you're just there to bash their thoughts. I think it's coming from a place of pain. I think it's coming from a place of discontent. I think it's coming from a place of feeling unnerved, feeling displaced. I think it's that level of hate for something that you don't truly understand or you don't even know whether it's harmed you. You just sort of believe, they're taking our jobs or they're taking our place where we've created, they're taking our land. It's so primal that I think it's coming from somewhere very deep and from somewhere where they feel as though they're not being listened to or being appreciated.
Got it.
And
sure, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And we don't want to forget to mention, you have this team of people that you put together, obviously not only for the tour, but first of all, when you put a film together, clearly, I love to talk about this because I'm doing my first film and I do a festival, so of course I have filmmakers together all the time. Share a bit of the experience with some of those out there because I think they find it engaging. Talk about the plus side and the minus side in your experience in terms of making a short film like this, because it's one thing to write it. It's clearly another to bring it on screen, and I'm finding this out every day. It's a challenge. I mean, I cringe sometimes. I'm like, oh, my God, what am I thinking? Why am I doing this? This is so much work, et cetera. What was it like for you? Was it more fascinating or frustrating for you? What was that whole journey like?
Oh, my goodness. It was not fascinating. It was frustrating. It was painful. It was difficult. It was trying. It was a learning curve. This is a short film, and you almost have to treat it as though you're doing a feature film because you still need certain crew and and cast members in place, and you still need to go through that process of making a film. The size or the length of the story is irrelevant. You still need to edit it. You still need to film it. You still need to have a DP. You need to have a grip. You need to have the right camera and the equipment, and you need to be in location. So in that sense, it was a huge and steep learning curve. I was so lucky I had experienced folk with me. So, the co-producer for this and Dale, who had a crew that he worked with quite comfortably and were able to get quite a lot of things for free or heavily discounted. It's a process of balancing the creative idea and the financial implications. And that was the biggest lesson for me, because suddenly I realized, okay, you know, you sometimes hear, oh, she wasn't cast in this film because she wasn't bankable. And there's always, as an actor, I always felt, oh, you know, that's just horrible. They should be going for talent. But now I understand how, if you're risking the amount of millions that a lot of investors are, there's a lot of pressure on a producer. So, you know, in a sense, as an actor, you should be thinking about, you know, spreading yourself to an audience base and getting that audience base and having another bow in your toolbox, you know, a little tool of, I have fans, I have people who want to hear what I want to say. It's a huge addition. So it bedded home the reality of the film industry, and also how you could go around the system and be a lot more prosperous in the endeavor of being an actor, a filmmaker, a director, whatever you want to do. Just understanding the balance of the financials and the.
Oh God, yeah, I'm totally getting that right now as we speak. So, just out of curiosity, this is a hot question on my wall today. So I've been going back and forth on this. So, just advice. I'm at that point where I either have to say all non-union, some SAG and some non-union, or non-union and FICOR. You or me, what would you do?
I would ask you a little bit more detail about the budget of the film, the scope.
Okay.
You know, are you thinking of general release? Are you thinking of a Netflix thing? I think I've found and have had such lovely conversations with producers and executives who've done this successfully for years. And what they told me was work backwards. So look at your audience base and the audience base that you want to target, and then work backwards. What would be the best platform for them to watch what you're presenting? And then from there, how much would that cost? And then from there, kind of do the flow on and realize whether you can kind of go non-union and get away with it, or you'd have to go union. I mean, most people say, yes, union is the way forward. Yes, you do. Going non-union has its issues in terms of crew, as you already know. But I would walk backwards and also sort of give yourself leeway to experiment if it's your first project. And this is not to you. This is just to whomever else wants to do that. Experiment.
Oh, no, I appreciate that.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a bit more complicated. I'd love to give you a direct answer, but I would need to have a chat with you, which I hope I will soon, over a cup of tea and coffee.
Yes, a cup of tea. Or I would say wine, because I'm a wine girl. So I'm like, oh, I'm so old. I mean, coffee in the morning and usually wine on occasion at night. I'm like, those are the two ideals right there a little bit. I mean, those are my two favorites there. So, yeah. So I just wanted to get your take on that.
I will join you in all. I will have tea and coffee lined up and then wine right after. I will have them all three.
Oh, she's so lovely. I adore this girl already. This is awesome. Now, folks, just to give you a bit of background on where she comes from in terms of actual formal education, I know that you actually studied with Sylvia Young Theater School and then, of course, obviously trained at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts. So 2 questions relative to that. First of all, Theater School and Dramatic Arts Academy, I'm guessing, are the same but different. Is that correct? Because you're obviously being trained in 2 separate things, even though they're within the same field, so to speak. So if you would, just talk a little bit about some of the talents that they have taught you that you've now taken away and put into your current projects, I would appreciate that. Because education, I find, is fundamentally important, period.
Okay. So theatre school is very different from drama school. Drama school, you normally sort of attend it either after you've done a degree or as your degree option. Generally, they tend to encourage you to do after you've sort of done your degree, because there is some literature that you need to know, some basic understanding that you need to gather. It is full on. It is, people say 9 to 5. No, it's 9 till 10 o'clock at night for 3 years.
Right.
It is very intense. You do everything from speech to dialects to improv to scene studies to different dances to, in some drama schools, horse riding. You literally do everything that you could possibly need in your career, and you train at it. So it's a very intense and concentrated study. And also you're in a small group of about 30 people. If you go to one of the drama schools, 30 people a year, it's highly competitive. So that's the process. Theatre school, I would say it's not as competitive in terms of entry. However, it's a little bit more flexible. You generally tend to do less classes. It's generally when you're younger. I mean, in my experience in England, so Sylvia Young They generally, take students up until 18, and it's really about improv and getting you, film ready, stage ready. So you do a few skills, but then you also can go to school. With drama school, it's all in. You're in it. Right. 24 hours a day.
Oh my God!
And I would say the tools that I gathered, yes, intense. I did it when I was young. I did it when I was about 19. I got in and I was so excited, and half the year were considerably older, so in their mid to late 20s, and they, at that age, even though it doesn't seem like such a steep difference in terms of age, they're in a completely different place in their lives. They've done degrees. They understand how it's like to be in a higher education system. They understand how intense this could be. There you are, straight from school.
Oh my
this intense study. So for me, I found it incredibly intense, but so rewarding. All the skill sets that you get. Basically, it teaches you how to be consistent and to be able to give a consistent performance even when you're not in the mood. Because I think a lot of people have sort of said, well, how about if you're feeling this way? It really helps you with that skill set of being a professional. It doesn't give you the talent. The talent is all yours. You bring that to the table every single time, but it gives you that little toolbox of skills that you can just whip out every single time you need it. Dialects, accents, horse riding, period dance. I think we did ballroom. We did so much, and it was completely useful. And it all feeds in and trickles out over the years. So I'm still waiting to do some period dance and some sort of performance somewhere professionally,
so cool.
Or horse riding. That would be cool.
Well, and I hate to admit it because I try to be a thorough journalist, but in all the digging that I did, and I tried to pull up your resume on your site, and I couldn't. So I have to ask the obvious question, because you went to theater school. Did you do theater productions? Because I couldn't find any way to verify yes, no, or otherwise.
Yes. I mean, Google my name and you'll see lots of theater productions. Generally, I should have it on my site. Maybe it's down. I'll check that. But my resume
only because when I click on that part, where it says click here to do resume, and then it clicks me to something and then says something about my country or not having access or something, and I'm like, okay. So that was kind of frazzling because I'm like, I went through and I Googled 8 pages worth of you. I went on Facebook and I'm like, oh my God, you know what? I'm just going to ask her when she's on my show. Obviously she went to theater school. She did some theater. So I'm like, okay. So the real question becomes, because you're in New York City folks, in case you don't know this, obviously there's Broadway there, but truly I think they embrace actual film of all kinds almost as much, if not more, than theater itself. So I have to ask the obvious question is, would you think about taking this boomerang tour that you're doing and putting it into a play of sorts and putting it on stage?
Yes, I completely would. I would consider that, and I would put it on stage, and I would love to see how that is a very good idea. Now you're putting another thing onto my to-do list.
Nugget. See, there's just another nugget. Because that's a good idea. I like it. And we'll get to talking about that tour in a moment, because obviously we'll get to that. A couple other things that she's done so far, obviously, before we get to the other films, et cetera, is she was featured in Vogue, the Italian Vogue. I'm so jealous about that, because I'm nowhere near Vogue. I'm not even Vogue-worthy, folks. Thank you so much. She also was given the International Actress Special Recognition Award by the British Filmmakers Alliance. Again, I haven't gotten actress anything, but that's okay because I can't act out of a paper bag. I literally can't act at all. So that is totally impressive. She's got an award over here. She's being featured in all these lovely magazines. She did this kick-ass little short film that she did, and now, of course, she's embarking upon this tour. So before I go any further, I have to ask the obvious questions, because in case the boys are on my Facebook wall or my social media and they're creeping on you, got to ask the obvious question. Are we young and in love in the city, or are we single and mingling? Just in case anybody's listening and is like, I'm in love with this woman and I want to date an actress.
I wish I had time to date. I know it sounds really, really, really sad saying this, but because I'm here, there, and everywhere, I think for me the focus is definitely on trying to get these projects up and running. There are people there, or someone, should I say, who is very close to me. But again, I'm at that stage where my focus is very much on trying to get this up and running, trying to get the tour done, trying to get the feature film, which is with,
right.
in pre-development with and pre-production soon. So for me, I'm so excited about doing and living and
I understand.
And getting things done.
I'm the same way, so I understand. So it makes perfect sense. No, I know people think that sounds crazy, but it's like, no. So let's talk about this exciting tour. I'm so excited to talk about it. Okay, so the Inflatable K Boomerang Tour, which premiered in January, which wasn't so long ago, folks, obviously. So first of all, I know that you had done this premiere, and it was done in Brooklyn, if I'm not mistaken. Talk to me a little bit about the initial response when you first did the premiere. How was the response, not only from females, but males or other people involved in the project? What are they saying? What are they thinking? What's that initial reaction?
Yeah, okay, the biggest thing that they said that completely struck me was they said, oh, tools. Okay, now I can sink my teeth into this. Most people have had some sort of education. They've either read a book about self-empowerment. They do something every day to feel in some way empowered. However, when you sort of put this whole education of an event, they suddenly think, they're going to sit in some room and be talked at for 2 hours. And they were just really surprised that that's not what we're about. We want to change it around. We want some sort of mentorship. We want ambassadors to really integrate. We want to hear their stories. That's the thing that we focused on. And for the guys, because I think the whole Me Too movement and Time's Up movement has sort of left them a bit frazzled. Some of them are sort of nervously joking, oh, I touched your arm. Oh, I hope you don't think it's blah, 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 or me trying to do something else. Everyone's either a little bit nervous or just the guys anyway that I've come across, or just unaware of how to deal with it and how they could help and how they could really be of value. So for them, they're like, okay, tools, you're imparting tools. I can, get myself into this and see how I can help. So what do you need? So it's tangible. The whole idea is we want to leave people with something tangible to take away with them that they could use immediately once they leave the room, or else there's no point for me anyway. I just felt the reason why I did it was because a young woman asked me, what do you think of female empowerment? And I said, I have been in marches. I'm British. That's what we do.
Right.
We march, we rally, we voice our opinions. However, a lot of those times I went home and I felt really disempowered because I didn't really know how to bring that energy of empowerment into my day-to-day life when I'm in my bedroom not knowing how to deal with something. So for me, it was a lot about imparting tangible skills and tools that anyone could use every single day. And guys are really into it now. They're like, okay, so how can we have a male empowerment when it comes to assisting women? How can we change our mindset? Because right now we're confused and unaware of how to behave and what's acceptable, what's not, So yeah, it seems to have opened up a conversation for a lot of people.
Well, okay, and let's break down some of these different things that you offer. First of all, there's the Circle of Empowerment workshop where you're talking about activating tools and tips both to enable empowerment for females. So looking at 2018, obviously, I'm a little bit older than you are. At 48, obviously, I've seen different generations and different females and some of the fabulous things that they've done over time. And do I think that we're doing some groundbreaking things? Sure. But obviously, you can speak to, first of all, as an African-American, second of all, as a female. Tell me a little bit about your take on this in the year 2018. Have we advanced to the point where we're advancing enough? Do we need to advance farther? Does it start within us first in order for us to effectuate change in society?
Yes and no. Some
okay.
Point of view. Yes, we have advanced. I think every single time we take a step forward, we need to pat ourselves on the back because it is a step and it has involved effort and it has involved some sort of activation of yourself into doing something. However, we could always advance further. I do think that it starts from the self. And I think the issue at the moment is a lot of people are sort of leaving that responsibility to other people. And, especially with my generation anyway, which is the older generation, let's say older generation Z, but no, millennials. The Generation Z are a lot more socially. I was like, I'm not the older Generation Z. Far from it. I'm an older millennial. But yeah, Generation Z, they're socially conscious. They have these conversations all of the time. They're a lot about working together and working on self. These are things that I don't remember being exposed to as much as a small community of girls, hanging about in East London in the parks. I don't really remember that conversation being something that we had in my friendship circle growing up. But in the younger generation now, they really are engaged with these things and these issues. And I think, it is working on self. It is learning about self and all the work that we all need to do on the self before we can extend outward. I hope that answers your question.
Got it. Now, of course you did, and we're going to break it down a little bit further because there's two various, like I mentioned, of course, tools and tips here. So on one side of the fence, they have what they call the hot tools. Then on the other side of the fence, they have the 3 pillars of strength, which is dealing with how one feels, how one connects, what they do, and then incorporating self-care, support, and storytelling. So listening to all of this, I envision that when people walk in versus walking out, they're far more cognizant of where they were, where they're going, what they need to do to get where they're going, and in terms of using some of these hot tools, as you call them, which is a great word for that. So when you have a person that comes into this, let's say they're coming to this tour, they're walking into this workshop, what are you finding is the biggest challenge? What is it that people are having the hardest time embracing or understanding, or that you're having to work the hardest on impressing upon them?
I think the biggest thing is a lot of people say, I get this, I know this, I do this. Of course, this is common sense, and yes, it is. It completely is. Everyone gets the education. Everyone knows what this is. This isn't revolutionary. This isn't new. It's not something that we're suddenly imparting this new education. No, it isn't. It's something that we do to a certain extent in various different forms. The issue that they find is having a consistent way of self-embracing all these ideas. You have to work at it every single minute of the day in some way. So what we're looking at is those moments when you're not. And in my case, there's so many moments when I'm not, because I still get anxiety. I still have issues with being frustrated. I still get angry. All of these natural human emotions are caused by some unrest with you not being reconciled with where you are right now and looking at the state that you are in right now. And for them, it's realizing that, no, this isn't about somehow feeding you some new education that will change your life. What will change your life is you understanding that you need to work at it every day. And certain tools and things that you implemented and tried 5 years ago may not work so well right now because you're in a different state. You're in a different place. They're not as effective. You're finding you have to keep banging at it, this sort of thing that I used to resolve this issue by doing blah, 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 taking a walk, breathing, and it's not working anymore. It's because we kind of get immune to some of our own, tools that we've created. It's not as effective because we've learned to somehow sidestep it. We're not doing it as committedly as we used to. So it could be re-engaging with the hot tools that you already have or using some of ours. Or actually, the reality is most of the hot tools that we have, you already are implementing to a certain degree, or we sort of show you a different way where it could be a little bit more refined. So the challenge has been for people to realize that actually it's about consistency rather than a whole new education. And suddenly that clock's on, and they're like, okay, this is good now,
I totally get that. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm guessing that they walk away thinking, okay, I may have all the tools in my tool shed, but guess what? You've handed me some new equipment to put in here that I can use. It's nice and new and shiny as far as that goes, which is exciting. Anytime somebody gives you the strength or the skill set to enable or encourage yourself, that's phenomenal. What you're doing with this is absolutely incredible. And further, the team that you've put together, obviously, your cohort is going to be coming on my show, and I hope I don't say this wrong. It's Shruti. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay.
True.
I wasn't quite sure about that, obviously. And I know that there was mention of the gal from Lindsay from Supernatural. OMG.
Yes.
I've never watched that show, but I hear very good things.
Yes, Lindsay McEwen, she is our champion ambassador. She has, put her whole self and being into this. She has assisted us with so much. and she's so enrolled and involved in one, the education that we're trying to impart, and also just being an ambassador who's kicking ass. She shows up, she's there talking to everyone, and she's so enrolled. It's mind-blowing. We're so grateful.
This is so cool. And, of course, obviously, I didn't want to forget to ask you, because I know that you have worked with Emmeline Rodelis, and I've heard her name. Tell me a bit about her. Tell the folks a bit about her, because I want them to know who this person is in case they're not acquainted with her work and her skill set.
So Emmeline is a producer. She's produced several films. I think she's produced The Eyes, which got released. I think it's now on Netflix. That's the most recent. And she's an incredible producer. And she's the producer that I worked with on Inflatable K. She was the lady who was driving, I was so tired at the end of trying to organize the production aspect of things, and she said, lady, sit at the back. Let me drive us to the next location. You need to have a nap. You're filming this tomorrow. She's the lady who really helped me with knowing the ropes in this game called producing a film of any sort, short or long, either. And she's been enrolled with the short film, and she's been enrolled with this education, and we created Floor, which is the endeavor that will house all of these empowerment aspects of things. So right now we have the Own Hero Tour, and we have built this foundation together of what we could do to empower other women, because it's helped us. Maybe someone else may find some value in it. So in that sense, she is such a key part of everything that we have done. And again, grateful to have her on board.
That's awesome. And not to mention the fact, now I saw the notation here for future reference, so folks are listening in and they're thinking, okay, I want to be part of this tour, I want to participate, I want to be able to attend. Now, are you just going to be doing the university tour, meaning going school to school to school, or is it venue? What's anticipated or what's happening for the future plans of this?
For the future plans, it will be all of the above. Venue,
awesome.
school. It will be, we're hosting our own events. We will be partnering with other entities who are focused on music and suddenly being a part of their presentations. And we're just a little side thing that pops in for an hour. So really, it's about integrating it into people's lives. So it isn't as though we need to be hosting our own events and you have to sort of come to us. We'll be coming to you. We'll find out what you're interested in and have a collaboration with them and create something. So yes, that's the main goal. Yes.
That is so cool. Now, before I forget, I don't want to ask the obvious, I don't want to forget to ask two different things. I know you have two movies that are coming up. First of all, the status of A Certain Age. Do we have a status on that production?
Yes, we do. I will be releasing it online shortly.
Good.
I'm not yet sort of sanctioned to speak about it.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I just thought it was on there, so I thought, let's ask about it.
No. All of these things are brewing. It's just more release dates and dates where people can come and see it. And
okay, that makes sense.
Of course,
all right. So that's that.
I'm all about us. Any questions?
Now, I also have to ask, because you did preface this in another interview, as a matter of fact. So you had prefaced a film by the name of Scoot, S-C-O-O-T. Is that the one that you're writing or the one you're about to film, or what's happening with that? Can you tell me anything?
So that's the one that, co-written this with someone else that's part of our endeavor, Ruby Taha. She's an incredible writer, so we co-wrote it. It's about this American guy who goes to Israel to scatter his father's ashes, and then he loses them. And then he ends up going on a wild and crazy taxi ride to try and find them. And he shares the taxi ride with this Arab woman who's carrying an unusual gift from her husband. So it's a little bit of an adventure travel, surreal, heartwarming story that will really, really trigger a lot of things in a lot of people, we hope. And yes, we have Liv Gatt, who's an incredible American-Israeli director, and we have the producers of Jungle with Daniel Radcliffe. So we've got quite a nice, stellar team.
Nice.
Yes, we're in development with that. I think we'll be going into pre-production shortly. But yeah, that should be also announced shortly online. And yeah, very, very excited about that.
So now I only have two more questions for you. First of all, now you got to tell me about the film that nobody's seen. Because you can't throw that out there and say, oh, yeah, there's this film that I did that no one ever saw. So you at least have to tell me something. You just get a little something, a little tiny something.
I love making people wait, especially when I have something to deliver. I am going to let people. And it will be delivered beautifully, hopefully. And there's a lot coming out really, really soon. There's a lot of stuff that generally, if it's not my production, I'm not really allowed to go into details about it.
I understand.
But I can loosely, just because they want it to be a surprise and they want to create some sort of like buzz. But no,
I understand.
I will be sharing it with you. I will be letting you announce it.
That's so
I will
awesome.
email you direct.
Now, before I forget, I just want to preface this and throw this out there because there's a reason. Let me just tell you a bit about my short film before I ask you this question. Because, of course, obviously, as you heard in the beginning of our beautiful intro, as I always call it, I'm about to shoot my own film. It's called Love to a Mirror. It's all the various ways that humans show the words I love you. And it's love for people, love for places, love for hobbies, love for things. And as we all know, you know, the words I love you aren't always shown in the nicest way. I mean, sometimes the word I love you comes across in very tumultuous, tragic ways, and then there's a very sensitive and sweet side to all of that. So having done that segue, I found it interesting that you, and I assume this is your quote, today I stood, I sighed, I teared. How wonderful a feeling it is to love for no other reason than there is nothing else worth doing. Did you write that?
Yes, I did.
So that's an original.
Yes, it is.
The reason I asked is because I want to use that. I want to use that in my film. I love this. I mean, I wrote the film already, but I'm like, I love this quote. I'm like, it's so cool. Or even better, maybe you should come in the film and say it yourself.
Oh, yes, please. Yes, that would be better. Write it in. But yeah, it's. I generally try and speak from the heart a little bit, even on Instagram. I'm not the biggest fan of quotes, just because I think a lot of people do it so much better in terms of how they actually give, that they blow it up and frame it quite nicely. And I kind of try and speak to people as much as possible with my own little one. Yeah.
That's very cool. I like it very much. I just had to throw that out there. I was like so moved by that because it means a great deal as it relates to my own film. And I'm like, I'm a believer in the universe. You get brought people by the universe for whatever reason, good, bad, otherwise. My best friend taught me that a while ago. And it's true. I get signs all of the time. So now we got to the good stuff. Can you believe that we talked almost an hour? See, this happens every time. I'm like, it'll be like 45 minutes. Right? And it goes by like that, right? Is that good or bad?
Listen, I was listening to the other podcast, and I was I've been listening to every single interview you have done recently.
Oh, my God. Did I fare okay? Was I all right?
And then you're amazing. You're really amazing. I love your heart. I love your spirit. I love listening to everything that you have to say. And so that's why I was like researching quotation marks. And then I ended up just having such a ball listening and laughing and giggling and just being inspired. And ended up
so you knew.
Back to back.
Oh, my God. So then you must know what's coming now, because there's only two things for us left to do, which is, first of all, I tell everyone all the ways to find you. And now we have this new system, of course. Like the last 2 years, it was all about, I would ask you if you have Michael Madsen's cell phone number, because, of course, I'm a huge Michael Madsen fan. Well, now I have his cell phone number because I got it on my own. So now we have a new question that I can ask you, and then we always have surprises on my show. But you know that if you listen to my show, you already know that I'm going to surprise you. So let's start with the cool stuff first, which is to remind you and obviously everybody else, the show is archived about 2 hours after the fact. So I'll send a copy to Nubia and yourself, and then I upload it onto YouTube because I have a YouTube channel now. So everybody can go back and listen to these fabulous words that we all had to say for the last hour or so. Before I read off all the ways to find you, I have to send out a special shout-out to Nubia Wilson of CLO Consulting. I don't think I said that right. Why can't I pronounce things today? Nubia, I have to say this much. She is, without a doubt, this guest you brought me is just an absolute genuine gem. I cannot thank you enough for taking the time, having the patience structuring all of this, finding her for me, pitching her, saying she is fabulous for your show. 110% right. So I'm sending you much love, much hugs. I'm waving at you all the way here. I will see you in New York City soon. She just sent me her lovely book, and I have to read it on the plane when I come there. I'm so proud of little Nubia. She's so lovely and pretty and sweet and smart. And, oh, my God, you guys have to go check her out. It's CIELO consulting.biz. Check her out. Check out everything she does. Fabulous female. Another fabulous female.
Amazing, amazing. Our publicist, love her.
Love.
So full of passion. So it's so refreshing. She's amazing.
Exactly. Another International Women's Day. Big hug to you on International Women's Day, Nubia, to you too. Okay, so this fine young lady, her name is Yvonne Wandera. Did I get that right?
Yes, you did, my love.
Oh,
lovely.
Okay, it is YVONNEWANDERA is her name. Now, on Facebook, she has a personal page, which I'll be friending shortly, and her business page, which is, again, Yvonne Wandera. Her Instagram is Miss_WAND. And how do I know that? Because she Instagram messaged me right before the show. Her website,
because you're
www.
Cool. I wanted you to be my friend.
Thank you. She's killing me. www.inflatableK.com. That's, of course, the name of the short film we talked about. Oh, heads up. I clicked on there to try to watch the film, and I can't. So for those listening, can they get access to Inflatable K somehow?
Yes, they will. I'll be in, because we almost had to honor some of the university's requests where they didn't necessarily want to release it.
Got it.
So now we're releasing it. They're all fine with us releasing it. We will be releasing it online again, and it will be available again if you go on Inflatable K Facebook page or my Facebook page or Own Hero Facebook page. It's all going to be there. It's going to be everywhere and spread across Instagram and Facebook.
Now, wonderful. Her actual regular website, www.yvonnewandera.com. She can also be found at IMDb, Vimeo, LinkedIn, Google+, Foursquare, and 2 Twitter handles, which is her name, again, Yvonne Wandera, and at K_inflatable. Also, the magazine we preferenced earlier, which is dailyactor.com. You want to go ahead and check that out. Any other place where I am missing information about you?
You have covered everything. You're amazing. Thank you. Wow.
Well, not everything. We're at the point where we have to surprise you, and then I get to tell you what I think of you, because I know you know that happens. So, of course, that's the last part. But before I get to that, let's get to the surprises, which is there's 3 different things. Obviously, we just talked about the film, and certainly if you want to come in and do a part in the film, you're more than welcome to do that, because I'd love to have you say that quote. It's beautiful. It speaks volumes about my film, and I would appreciate that. And speaking of film, 2 different things. I have this tiny little thing called the Art is Alive Film Festival that's going on in mid-August. So I was thinking to myself, 2 really super cool things to do. Number 1, I think we should get you on board and have you show Inflatable K at the event. And then while you're at that event, I said, what the heck, let's do ourselves a little empowerment workshop where they're all there. What do you think? That's number 1. Number 2, I was just on a program by the name of Badassery Podcast. Why should you go on that? They're friends of mine, and you're so badass. So I think we should have Nubia hook you up with Badassery Podcast. And number 3, one of my newest clients happens to be a beautiful, absolutely radiant, lovely soul by the name of Robin Charles. And you may not know her, but she happens to be the youngest daughter of veteran, or should I say legendary musician Ray Charles. And she heard about your empowerment tour, and she would love, whether it's in New York City, Atlanta, Georgia, wherever, she would love to be on board to do a presentation, work with you, partner with you, do whatever she can to endorse your cause. How about that? Are you alive? Hello?
No, I died. I died about...
Are you okay?
Seconds ago.
Oh, my God.
Goodness. Yes.
Please don't tell Nubia.
Yes.
I killed your dad.
Thank you so much. Wow.
Are you all right? I didn't do anything.
No.
All I did was just say, embrace your female side and come show all your badass stuff in a public forum. And why? Because it's huge. And I love endorsing filmmakers. I love endorsing good film. I love any film that deals with showing the inner struggle in such a way that it's positive and it pushes enforcement and reinforcement of the female condition. And your film certainly does that. The Muslim side, I will not lie, totally intrigued by that. We don't get to see that enough, period. In films in general, does not happen. Of course I should spotlight
the truth.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, without a doubt, absolutely. And when you talk about female empowerment. I have tons of female filmmakers, tons of female screenwriters that come to my event. So it behooves me to say, yes, let's show this gift to another generation of people. So, of course, that's perfect, and it's pertinent, and it's important, and Robin is all on board for that. So, yeah, we'll have to talk about all of that. So now the very last thing I get to do, and so you can go back to your day now because I've bothered you enough, to tell you what I think of you. And I do this, in case you folks don't know or haven't listened in yet, is because it's not scripted. That means it comes straight from my little soul to yours. So these are my impressions of Yvonne, so settle in, because if you thought you were speechless a minute ago, most people, I don't know, they react weird to this, so we'll see. So these are my impressions of you. When Nubia first presented this to me and I read this, I thought to myself, I was moved by the presence of all the women, yourself as well as the guest that's coming up, and everyone that was involved with this. And why? Because whenever independent filmmakers that are female set out on a course, the thing that I have noticed most is that they are diligent and deliberate in their means and message. They're very passionate about their purpose. They're very intent upon inspiring other females and inspiring other women and making them feel worthy and making them feel warranted and gifted. And you've done that. So that was the number one reason I wanted to have you on the show originally. Now that I get to creep on you and I get to put my little journalistic cap on, this is what I found out. You are as free-spirited and free-loving and free-willing and so open-hearted that it's refreshing and remarkable to see. There's not many millennials out there, let alone females in the industry, who are that humble and that humane when it comes to your cause and your content. You, my dear, are a radiant and beautiful soul. I couldn't have possibly asked for a better person to come on my show for International Women's Day, because you're a representative of how to be someone sensational by one simple story, by one simple post, by one simple picture. You know how to convey love in the simplest form. I feel blessed by your presence today. I really hope I get to meet you in person at some point, because it's not every day that I get moved so easily by someone who has made such sufficient effort in our industry and in terms of touching other people, touching other females, making your mark in history at such a significantly younger age. You are such a badass. And not only that, you talk like a British person. Who the hell doesn't love that, right? So I would be honored if you would come back. I'd be honored if you'd participate in my little endeavors. And thank you so much for being patient and waiting to come on the show. I truly appreciate it. That's what I think of you.
Again, still on the floor, speechless.
I killed your client, Nubia. Don't hate me.
I had one.
I'll be in big trouble.
I just feel nothing but an overwhelming rush from my head to my toes
of
love and appreciation.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me and just for being a really, really, really good reason for me to now say International Women's Day has a new resonance for me, because I will always remember this interview and I'll always remember how you inspired me to be more of myself and also how you made me feel. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Anytime, my dear. I will be in touch. Like I said, once we go off of here, we can talk about how to structure all this good stuff, what you're interested in. So I'll definitely stay in touch. And like I said, I'll send the interview over in a couple hours and come back. I mean, feel free to come back anytime you want. I'm always here.
Yes. And I need to announce things with you. Anyway, I will be announcing lots of things with you.
Yes! I love it. This is so awesome. Now, you go off and celebrate being female. I'm sending you a big hug.
I will do.
Have a great day, too. All right, honey.
You too.
Take care.
Okay, thank
All right, we'll see you soon. Bye.
See you soon.
Tell me that she was like not absolutely fabulous, right? And I meant every single thing. Amazed. Okay, so one more time, let's throw this out there. Again, her name is Yvonne Wandera. Facebook, she is a personal page as well as her business page, which is the same name, of course, Yvonne Wandera. The Instagram is MISS_WAND. The two websites, YvonneWandera.com and www.inflatableK.com. The magazine, again, is Daily Actor, and that's dailyactor.com. Yvonne Wandera, as well as @K_inflatable on the Twitter handles. And also IMDb, Vimeo, LinkedIn, Google+, and Foursquare. Again, big thanks to this beautiful young lady, Yvonne. I can't thank you enough. So excited to work with you. And then second of all, Nubia, you're my inspiration today. Thanks, love, so much. Again, it's CIELO consulting.biz. Do check the both of them out if you would. Thanks so much to everybody listening in today. Thank you for your support. Thank you for making me feel like a super sensational female all year round. And again, don't forget another sensational female tomorrow. Emily Taffel, 2 o'clock Central Standard Time. I am off and out and about to take care of some errands and do some, 50,000 pounds of work. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.
Required listening with Amazon Music.
Dad music again?
The greatest guitarist of all time.
Wait, who?
Alexa, add this song to a new playlist.
Sure, what's the new playlist name?
Jack's Intro to Classic Rock.
Adding Stepping Stone by Jimi Hendrix to Jack's Intro to Classic Rock playlist.
Amazon Music, the simplest way to listen to the music you and soon he will love. New customers start your 30-day free trial at amazonmusic.com. Renews automatically, cancel anytime. Required listening with Amazon Music.
Dad music again?
The greatest guitarist of all time.
Wait, who?
Alexa, add this song to a new playlist.
Sure, what's the new playlist name?
Jack's Intro to Classic Rock.
Adding Stepping Stone by Jimi Hendrix to Jack's Intro to Classic Rock playlist.
Amazon Music, the simplest way to listen to the music you and soon he will love. New customers start your 30-day free trial at amazonmusic.com. Renews automatically, cancel anytime.